We have a major update revolving around the Boston Celtics as Brad Stevens, the general manager, has been talking to teams roughly over these last couple of days, and one name in particular has been brought up once again on the trade discussions as Anthony Simons' name has been circulating around teams. And we're going to dive in and explore what that can mean for Joe Mazzulla and his squad going into this season, if they will have Anthony Simons, if they will potentially trade Anthony Simons, and what this could mean for the Boston Celtics going into this year. We'll be diving and exploring all of that and more on this latest episode of Celtics Digest. I am Bruce Veliz, and I really do appreciate all your guys' love and support here on the channel. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your new support for Jace, one of our latest creators here on the channel. I really do appreciate it. Obviously, you have Patrick and myself as well coming up with you guys, bringing up this Celtics content. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything, make sure to continue to hit that subscribe button as we try to get to our goal of 10,000 subscribers here on this channel. And as you guys don't know, I will let you guys know that this will be my last week here coming in at Digest Media. As going into the new month, I unfortunately will no longer be with the company, but I do appreciate all your guys' support that you guys have given here on the channel over these last 2 years that I have been able to be a part of this job, and I know that they are going to do absolutely fantastic here on the channel when I am gone, and I definitely will be coming back as a surprise guest in the future. So thank you guys so much for all your undivided support here on this channel. If you want to stick with me, you can definitely follow me over on Twitter and stuff like that with my name. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand today. I just wanted to give that a little bit of an update, and let's get into the news, as this is very interesting for the Boston Celtics here, as like I mentioned, they've had a lot of trade discussions and rumors throughout this entire offseason, and we've seen trades go down, obviously. But the latest news comes revolving around Anthony Simons, as the Sixers and the Nuggets are two teams that are apparently finding themselves to be interested in a guy of Anthony Simons' caliber. And the Celtics have had a little bit of weariness with Anthony Simons. We haven't seen really any much confirmation of him staying. There's been discussion of him potentially being moved on once again, and this article kind of cements that as well. It also states the Bucks could be another team that will make a run at Anthony Simons before training camp, but Simons is a 6'3" guard who averaged 19.3 points, 4.8 assists, and 2.7 rebounds last year with the Blazers, shooting around 42.6% from the field and 36% from three-point range in just 70 games. He also buried around 90% of his free throws. Before the trade to Boston, he had spent his last 7 seasons in Portland, where he had been pretty solid. And as we all know, the Celtics traded him for Jrue Holiday to shed some salary, get on an expiring contract, and help lessen that luxury tax bill. As we all know, with the Boston Celtics, that's been one of their main goals this season, and then able to achieve that by shedding over $300 million in luxury tax and salary to get to the $199 million line that they're currently at right now. But with that being said, the Celtics are still above the first apron and still would like to get underneath that to get away from all these penalties that they could be dealing with and or other repercussions that could be restricting this team in free agency or making moves out there on the trade market. So for the Boston Celtics to do that, they would need to shed roughly around $4 million, and they can with some of these smaller contracts here on the edges, but it does seem like Anthony Simons kind of seems to be the odd man out. And no discredit to Anthony Simons, I like the type of player he is. I think he could be solid for this Boston Celtics team, and I would not be shocked if he was on the Boston Celtics going into the season. But with all signs talking about him being traded since he's basically arrived for Jrue Holiday, it does seem like he could be flipped later down the line for the Celtics to ultimately save some more money. And with the Celtics having Derrick White, Peyton Pritchard, a guy that could potentially start in that lineup, it does kind of raise some question marks of who is going to be getting that starting job, who is going to be taking that, and if Peyton Pritchard does get it, does that lessen Anthony Simons' trade value? Does it make him look like a little bit worse of a player? How does that affect the Boston Celtics in making those trades? Well, that's where the big questions do come into play. Do they move him now, or do they move him in the middle of the season? Do they keep him? Do they try to extend him, make sure he's a long-term piece of their culture and squad? We'll have to wait and see. I do think Simons will bring some positives and benefits from being a three-point scorer and sniper, with Jayson Tatum being out this season. That could definitely make his case to stay, but I also could see him potentially being shipped out of Boston this season too. And with that being said, we'll look at the teams that have been linked to him in the latest updates, as like I mentioned, the Sixers, the Bucks, and the Nuggets are all teams that are linked to Simons. We do know that Anthony Simons does make $27 million right now, and for the Celtics, obviously, Now that they're out of the second apron, they don't have to do one-for-one trades. They can obviously take back more money in the deal, but the Celtics do want to shed money. So in that case, the Celtics would like to be taking less for Anthony Simons, roughly right around $23 million, or even less than that, to be able to deal a deal for him. So with looking at these three teams, where does it make sense for Anthony Simons to go? Well, that's what we're going to discuss next. When looking at the Sixers lineup here, it doesn't really make much sense for Anthony Simons to go here, not only for the roster construction, with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain already being there, part of their small guard rotation. But the Sixers don't have many salaries to trade. Obviously, they're not going to move Joel Embiid. They're not going to move Paul George. They're not going to move Tyrese Maxey or VJ Edgecombe for a guy in Anthony Simons. And then after that, it is just smaller salaries. Now, maybe it is a three-team deal with the Sixers to get this done, where Anthony Simons goes there, they move Paul George to a third team, and then the Celtics get something in return from one of those third teams. That could be the case to help them out, and something I saw revolved around the Kings getting Paul George, the Celtics getting Malik Monk, and then the Sixers getting DeMar DeRozan and Anthony Simons. Not that I would say that would be a deal that 100% gets done, but that's something that could potentially be there out there in the works there if the Sixers were to get involved. But the Sixers, in my opinion, with having not that many salaries, seem to be the less likely case because they'd have to get a third team involved to do so. Next, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets, one that's already made a trade this offseason, trading for Cam Johnson and flipping him for Michael Porter Jr. They obviously have Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. They're not going to be looking to move them. Aaron Gordon, who's going to be a staple of their team. It does seem like, though, that they do have some of the contracts. Maybe if Jonas Valanciunas is still unhappy, they'd like to move off of him. I know Zeke Naji, making around $8 million, has been one of their bad contracts. But for the Celtics, looking to just take on any salary that's very cheaper, maybe a guy in Zeke Naji, especially with their front court of being a little bit weak, could help out into that rotation. Maybe they're able to get one of the guys like Peyton Watson or Julian Strouder on the lower end and try to shed some salary that way to make a deal done. The Nuggets kind of fall like in a weird case because I don't think Simons is the perfect fit, but I also don't know if there is a perfect fit around the NBA because so many teams have these kind of combo guards or their starting point guard, and it seems like Simons wants to start and is good enough to start, but might be better in a six-man role. Do teams really have that available for him? We'll have to wait and see. And then the last one was the Milwaukee Bucks that was mentioned. This one seems like it can make the most sense on a kind of salary deal where you could get a guy in Kyle Kuzma, who I know isn't going to be the all-right great piece for the Boston Celtics, but he can play that power forward and wing position, specifically with Jayson Tatum out this year. He is cheaper than Anthony Simons, and I know he isn't expiring next year, which would allow him to be a tradable contract for the Boston Celtics or a piece to be used on the bench. Maybe Bobby Portis, Kevin Porter Jr. could be some nice intriguing names as well, but since those guys obviously just re-signed, they'd have to wait a couple days for them to be obviously moved for the Boston Celtics to even engage in trade talks with those guys. But I think Kyle Kuzma, out of all the names here, has been listed out of these three teams, makes the most sense. Not for, the best piece that the Boston Celtics get, but ultimately, I don't know if they're getting some great talent for Anthony Simons. It seems like if the Celtics have been wanting to move him since they've acquired him and have tried to over these last couple of months and seemingly have failed to. Maybe because there's not a fit for him, maybe because no team values him as the way the Boston Celtics do, maybe his contract is a little bit of a bigger one compared to what his role can actually be for some of these teams. There's a lot of questions on why Anthony Simons hasn't been able to get moved, but it does seem like the Boston Celtics do still want to move him with these latest updates, as we see that the Sixers, the Nuggets, and maybe even the Milwaukee Bucks are interested. And even though a Kyle Kuzma trade for Anthony Simons isn't an absolute home run, I do think that it would help out the Boston Celtics fill in a role of need at that wing position here, especially with Jayson Tatum being out, but also presents themselves with another expiring contract, one that is also cheaper than the $27 million of Anthony Simons, while also still being allowed to drop below the first apron and get out of all the tax penalties that they would be dealing with the new CBA. So in my opinion, I think that would be the best move for the Boston Celtics. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section and which one you would like to see the Boston Celtics make, and if you would like to see Anthony Simons traded to any of these three teams. If not, would you like him to stay with the Boston Celtics? Would you like him to be on another team in a potential other trade? Let me know down below in the comment section. Once again, I really do appreciate all your guys' support here on this channel over these last 2 years where I've been grinding, putting the work in, and been supplying you guys with great Celtics content. I really do appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving, and If you guys do notice me disappear going into September and have some questions like that, you can always follow me on Twitter at Bruce Veliz, where you can ask me questions about the Celtics, because I'll still be talking about them, still talking about the Phoenix Suns, and be doing more work progressing into the NBA world. Once again, I really do appreciate all your guys' love and support since the beginning of this channel, where we were grinding, me and Josh, but now it is me, Patrick, and Jace, and soon it will just be Patrick and Jace going at the end of next week. But really do appreciate all of you guys. You truly do mean the world to me, as you know, the person that's been here since the beginning of the channel. It does mean a lot, and I know that you guys will still be following me if you really do care, and that means a lot to me as well. So thank you guys so much for being the best. Obviously, this will not be my last video, but we will be winding down on these videos as I will be closing out this week. So I really do appreciate all the support you guys have been given. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out.